over. Oh, I totally need to start this over. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Kristen. Thanks for stopping by my channel to see what I will be reading in the month of July. There's a couple things I'm carrying in from the month of June, and then a couple things that are on my radar to read for sure. And then we get a pull from the mugs. So I don't even know everything I'll be reading yet. But I have been reading Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. This is I don't know if this is a total comprehension of all of his poetry, but it's a substantial amount of his poetry. And I have read a little bit farther than this. I'm marking some favorite poems that I will share with you at the end of July. But I have just been really struck not only by how much I personally have loved this poetry, but also how much of it has been quoted in other literature. Like a lot of it becomes almost like, wait, I've heard this before because other people have talked about it or quoted it. So if I had known how much I was going to personally love it, I probably would have picked this up sooner. I've owned this beautiful copy for quite some time. So I do plan to work my way through that by the end of July, as well as I am reading my summer read, Rebel Yell by S.C. Gwynne. This is a fairly comprehensible account of Stonewall Jackson in the Civil War, and I've just barely started this one. I didn't get very far in June, so I really hope to knock out most of this in July, if not all of it in July. It's my summer read, so I had pledged to read it June, July, and August, but I'm really enjoying the writing, really just enjoying learning more about the history and the specific events and the kind of political turmoil, and so much of it is familiar, but to have it put all in one narrative context is just exceedingly helpful to somebody who's trying to wrap their brain around history in general. So there's that. Then July is sometimes commonly called in booktube land Jane Austen July. So for that, I have one of my Penguin cloth-bound classics that I have not gotten to, an Austen book. And this is actually 3 of her short, I don't know if they call them novellas or short stories or what the proper terminology is, but this has Lady Susan, the Watsons, and Sanditon all in one little book. It's not very big though, so I figured this is a perfect reading to do in July. And look how nice and summery yellow it is. It just kind of feels like it should be a July read. So that will be my nod to Jane Austen July. Then a couple other books that I for sure want to get to. They've just been on my radar. They've kind of been recommended to me multiple times. That is the Rebel Yell was by S.C. Gwynne. This is the one that was actually his more popular book novel, Empire of the Summer Moon. I thought originally that Killers of the Summer Moon, no, what was it? Killers of the one, the big one that had Leonardo DiCaprio in it. the movie that just came out. I thought that book was this book, but it's not. That one was the Killers of the Flower Moon came out. I thought that it was the same book. I was like, oh, I just bought that book. And then that's on the Osage tribe, and this is on the Comanche tribe. But because I really liked the other one, I'm anticipating this one even more. So it's weird how the universe kind of puts all this stuff into our path. And so I really wanted to get to that one as well in July. And then Orphan Train. This one had been recommended by many of you for me to read, so this one's going on my summer reading, and it's a nice lightweight one, so I may even take this with me traveling. So those 5 I'm going to work on or get through in July. And now I'm going to do my little mugs of goodness, is what I call them. I think this one's my classics. And Heidi. So I was gonna say I'm kind of wondering if I'm gonna get my biggest books. My biggest classic that I haven't read is East of Eden. These are my non-fictions. I think my biggest non-fiction is a biography on Mandela. I'd kind of like to get a chunky book, another chunky book for July, but we'll see. We'll see what the fates give me. Ooh, How the Word is Passed. So this one, I think it's Clint Smith. I can get the books at the end and pull them for us, but that is the one kind of talking about racial terminology and thoughts and history. So this one's my general fiction, my backlist fiction, if you will. And let me see. Oh, this is it. This is my biggest one, The Forgotten Garden. That one's Kate Morton. So this is my biggest one. So I got my wish. I got one of my big ones. And then this is new releases that started out at the first of this year. So like if it's been a new release since January, it's not in here. But new release is within the past 2 years. And I think my biggest book in this one is The Lincoln Highway, which I'm kind of thinking I'm not going to like, but I'm going to try to hold an open mindset to it. Oh, I didn't get it though. I got The Last Love Note. So this one's fairly recent. I think Heather at Reading with a Vengeance left a review of this one on her channel. I'll try to find it and link it below. But she said it wasn't like a traditional romance, that kind of thing. It was more, I don't know if it had to do with grief, but it had to do kind of with family and more like behind relationships is the way I kind of took her review. So anyway, I look forward to reading that because she thought it was pretty good. So those 4 plus those 5 are the ones I'm taking into July. So let me grab them real quick and I will show a little stack and we'll see what we think. So here's my copy, beautiful, of Heidi. I read this as a little girl, obviously not this copy, but wanted to read it again as an adult. This is The Forgotten Garden, so fairly good size book. Story of a young girl who comes over on a ship many moons ago, I think to Australia, and she's adopted because she doesn't have a family, and then she has on her a book of fairy tales. And then she goes basically questing as she grows up, and then maybe her daughter or her granddaughter continues her search for her original identity. So it's just kind of I think it's going to be a slow moving, big character build, found family, and then found original family. How the word is passed. And I like the subtitle, A Reckoning with the History of Slavery Across America. So that sounds really powerful. And I also like that nonfiction will not conflict with my Civil War reading in my mind. They're very different, right? Then The Last Love Note, Emma Gray. So yes, this is a story of a woman who has lost her husband, and then her plane gets delayed, or she's holed up somewhere where she's given the space to process her grief. So it just sounds very poignant and very sweet. So let me see if I can add these to my pile, and we'll hold it up, see what we got, so to speak. So it looks pretty big, but July can be a good month. So here it is, y'all. We'll see how far I get. And let me know, have you read any of these? Do you want to read any of these? Which one are you most looking forward to hearing about? Leave me a comment below. As always, I super appreciate it. If I look a little ragged like a person who just finished, or not even finished, a person who's in the midst of their vacation Bible camp, it's because I'm a person in the midst of her vacation Bible camp. So leave me a comment if you know what I'm talking about. If you're my vacation Bible camp people. Hope that your summer is filled with fun camps if that's your thing, and fun whatever if that's not your thing. Y'all have a blessed summer. Take care.